The Battlefield 1 light tank is, in my opinion, the most fun tank to use, and although it might not be the most powerful in terms of actual firepower and the amount of people you can get inside, it's definitely the most entertaining. And if you're running the flanker variant, then you're going to be having loads of fun because it has a fully operating turret, something that the other tanks don't have. Now in this video I'm just going to show you a bit of gameplay that I've got from recent weeks. Again, this is all post-spring patch, so there's nothing being shown that isn't in the game for you to experience now, and just go through a couple of tips and tricks that I think will really help you if you're trying to maybe get a bit better and effective in a tank and not just looking to camp on a hill and kill streak. So to start things off, you have two different options in terms of firepower in the flanker tanker. You have got the primary explosive shell, and then you have the secondary canister shell. Now the canister shell is super effective against infantry and vehicles in the air, such as fighters and bombers, but it is not very effective or has no effect at all on armor, so that's when you want to be using the explosive rounds. These primary explosive rounds are also really good against infantry if they're camping against a wall or shooting, as you see throughout this video, if you're shooting through a window and looking to gain splash damage on an enemy. The canister shell is really effective against prone enemies that are maybe on a hill, maybe a sniper. If it's close range though, I definitely stick to the 25mm. It's also weird how they reload. You get 15 rounds, and if you switch to the canister shell, you still keep the same amount of rounds left that you had using the 25mm. You see this a lot when people are switching up between the two, thinking it's like Battlefield 4 where you can have 15 of one and then immediately 15 of the other, but it doesn't work like that, so make sure you're reloading all the time when you finish shooting a target. You also get the normal repair system that you get in other tanks, and then when you press number 3 you kind of get a fire extinguisher if you're disabled that gets you out of jail if you're in a really bad spot. As you see in a couple of these clips, I do actually come across a larger tank. In this case I think it's a Saint-Chamond tank on Amiens, and it really had me pinned down, so I used a bit of cover there. I had teammates to help me out, and this is why a lot of the time in the flanker tank you're best off keeping your distance from other tanks and not getting really involved. If you're running the howitzer variant of the light tank, however, you can get up close and personal with other tanks because you do have the firepower to blast them, but again it's recommended to keep your distance and make use of the small frame of the light tank and use bits of cover. As you see here, I'm using that overturned train carriage just as a little bit of cover, and we do actually take down that Saint-Chamond and then go to town on all the infantry that are camping up there as well. Again, using the 25mm, you can see how effective they really are. Another tactic that you can employ when using the light tank is firing the 25mm into areas where you think enemies might be. You don't always have to see an enemy or use the little red graphic on top of their head to know where they are. You can fire the 25mm and see if you pick up hit markers. If you do, the chances are there's at least one enemy in there, so you can continue firing. I did this all the time in Battlefield 4 with the 25mm on the attack boat and the 30mm on the attack helicopter gunner seat, just to check if there's an enemy in there. It works wonders, and you can really up your game in terms of kills if you try this. Also, watching out for mines on the floor, as you saw me do there, is really important because this tank is not very strong in terms of repairing itself. You don't have that quick repair feature that you'd have in a couple of the other vehicles on this game, such as the artillery truck or the howitzer version of this tank. Now you're going to see a bit of gameplay here on Ballroom Blitz, where I've found myself in quite a nice position pushing Charlie flag. Again, I'm making sure that I have enough space to repair before seeing enemies, but I'm quick to stop the animation if I think I can get myself a quick kill or help my team out. Again, just shooting in doorways to check if there are enemies is really important. Not only are you going to find an enemy, but you're going to scare them off. If they hear a fully automated explosive barrage of rounds coming at them, they are going to hide, and that way you're helping your team out for sure. I'm also making use of my turret in third person. This again is something that you should be doing in all vehicles in Battlefield 4, switching out to the third person view like I'm doing every so often to check if there's anyone directly behind you. It's much faster than doing a 180 turn with the turret. Now here's a 1v1 tank situation that just proves how effective the bigger tanks are against the flanker. I'm up against a Saint-Chamond, he hits me a couple of times. Now I quickly drop mines, which is a really dangerous strategy, because if he shot the mines, he could have killed me. But I had no choice really. I dropped them and he drove over them and he fell for it. Now this is a really useful tactic. It's a bit better to hide your mines a little more carefully than I did. Maybe if I'd hidden them before he drove through the gap so he didn't see me, I would have been a lot safer, but luckily for me I got away with it, and that is how you take out the bigger tanks. You can use your explosive rounds if you want, but they're usually not as effective, so sticking with the mines is the way to go. For me, the flanker tank is my favourite tank on the game. It's the one I have the most fun with, and it can be seen as maybe an anti-infantry tank as opposed to an anti-vehicle tank or an anti-armour tank, but it is the most fun, I think, and the fact it's got that turret really helps it out. I'm also a really big fan of the light tank because some of the maps have been specifically designed for it, such as Omion and Bullwood Blitz, where the light tank can get into certain parts of the buildings and the archways are just the right size for it. It's a lot more fun than having an A7V tank that is really, really big and can't get into certain areas. I definitely suggest you try out the light tank and the flanker tank variant if you haven't done already. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like down below and let me know what your favourite tank variant in Battlefield 1 is. Hopefully you've enjoyed tanking on this game. For me, Battlefield 4 is still ahead of this game in terms of vehicle gameplay, but at least the flanker tank gives you a chance to experience a turret on a tank, which is what it's all about in my opinion. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.